So, welcome everyone to today's Science of Self-Realization reading. We are in the seventh chapter of Science of Self-Realization and we'll continue from where we had left. Um, this is the section that we had left, and this is about, let's see, it's a long section. A devotee must feel compassion. Let's see. So, okay, we had finished this also, the letter. Yeah, we had finished the letter also. Sure. Okay. Okay, we have to start with this one, an awareness of what is best and most beautiful. So, okay, so this is discussion. Okay, so I need two volunteers, one to read Mr. O'Grady's statements and one to read Srila Prabhupada's statements. In Rome, the May of 1974, Srila Prabhupada met with Mr. Desmond James Bernard O'Grady, a noted Irish poet. My request to you is this: you're a poet. Just describe God. You're expert in describing, and therefore I ask you to kindly describe God in your occupation. Then your life will be successful. So someone read Mr. O'Grady's statements, and someone read Srila Prabhupada's statement. Who will volunteer? Anyone?
Hello, Prabhu.
Yes. You will read whom's? Mr. O'Grady?
Uh, yeah, anything, anybody.
Okay. You read Mr. O'Grady. Who will read Srila Prabhupada's statements? Anyone? Okay. Okay. For now, Prabhuji, you read Mr. O'Grady's statement. I will read Srila Prabhupada's statement. Go ahead.
Okay. Uh, okay. Your edition of the Bhagavad Gita is very nice.
Srila Prabhupada. It is the fifth edition in 2 years.
In which country has the Hare Krishna movement been the most successful?
Everywhere. In Africa, America, Canada, Japan, China. But actually, it has been most successful in America. Many Americans have taken to Krishna consciousness.
What about here in Rome? Have you had problems with the police?
We have problems everywhere. Police sometimes harass us, but usually they become tired and eventually don't do anything.
The system give up. That's marvelous. I feel very tired of the system myself. Something is wrong with the present state of affairs. Maybe you can give me some advice on how to beat the system.
You Irish people, you are never tired of fighting.
No, it's inside us.
Hmm. So Irish people are known to be very, uh, a fighter where they won't give up so easily. Okay. Actually, the fighting has been going on constantly.
Well, what do you suggest we do about it? I mean, is it morally correct for me to be sitting here?
As long as we remain illusioned by the bodily concept of life, thinking we are these, just a minute, thinking we are these bodies, one man thinking I am Irish, another man thinking I am Italian, American, Indian, and so on. As long as this goes on, the fighting will go on. You cannot stop fighting between cats and dogs. What do they fight? the dog simply thinks I'm a big dog, and the cat thinks I'm a big cat. In the same way, if we think I'm Irishman, I'm Englishman, and then we are no better than cats and dogs. As long as people remain in the bodily concept of life, there will be fighting.
What was Mahatma Gandhi fighting in the House of Commons?
That was another dogism. There is no difference. A dog thinks I am dog because he has the body of dog. If I am thinking that I am Indian because this body was born in Indian style, then how am I different from the dog? The bodily concept of life is simply animalism. When we understand that we were not the bodies but spirit soul, there will be peace. There cannot be any peace otherwise. Sa eva gokhara. The Vedic literature state that persons in bodily concept of life is exactly like a cow or an ass. People have to transcend this inferior conception of life. How is that done? Mam cho vyabhichareణ bhakti yogana sevate sagunan samyetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. This is 14th chapter 26th verse. One who engages in spiritual activity of unalloyed devotional service at once transcends the modes of material nature and is elevated to the spiritual platform. In our society, there are many Mexicans, Canadians, Indians, Jews, and Muslims, but they no longer consider themselves to be Muslims, Christians, Jews, or whatever. They are all servants of Krishna. That is Brahman realization.
That's giving it a name also.
Yes, a name must be there. But although, for example, your name is different from that of an other Irishman, you nonetheless all feel that you are Irish. One's name may be different, but that doesn't matter. The quality should be one. That is required. When we acquire Krishna's quality, then despite different names, there will be peace. That is called so aham. The number of different people in the nation may be different, but all people feel the same nationality. You see, whenever see in India, there are so many politicians, so many differences of opinions. They come from various places, but when it comes to Indian nationality, they all come together, right? All the parties come together. Um, we have this Kashmir issue, but all the parties have the same opinion on Kashmir. Why? Because the Indianness, the Indian same nationality. Similarly, names will be different, but when people feel the same nationality, then they are one. Varieties may exist, but if quality is the same, that is oneness. Brahma Bhuta. Similarly, we should see everyone as spirit souls, and then there will be no fighting, or we will avoid fighting, and we will act accordingly. Hmm? Um, that is the key here Prabhupada is saying. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochiti na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhyate parama. Once he sees everyone equally on the level of spirit soul, then loving Krishna becomes easy. One who's thus situated at once realizes, one who is thus transcendently situated at one realizes Supreme Brahman. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotion service unto me. The world is miserable for materially infected person, but for the devotee, the whole entire world is as good as Vaikunta. This is a very tough statement. There is always some problems in this world, but Prabhupada is saying for a devotee, the entire world is Vaikunta. But we experience the problems also because we are not at the very pure devotee level. At our level, we experience difficulties, and we go to Krishna, right? But pure devotee level, he says, "Oh, there are difficulties. That doesn't matter. I am happy here because I'm chanting Hare Krishna. I'm serving Krishna." But for neophytes like us, will be miserable, little miserable compared to materially infected people. They will be more miserable. Like COVID situation was there for 2 years. It's still there. Those who are materialistic people, they were affected so much, and devotees were also affected by it. But devotees could recover faster mentally. For the impersonalists, achieving the Brahman stage, becoming one with the Absolute, is the last word. So impersonalists, they think, oh, I just merge into the Brahman and that's enough. Next.
Is the absolute external or internal?
There is no external internal. The Absolute is without duality.
Okay. But on an individual level.
We are not absolute. When we are situated on the absolute platform, we are absolute. However, now we are in the relative world. The absolute truth is here also, but our senses are not sufficiently elevated to understand that absolute truth. As long as we are under control of time, there is no question of becoming absolute. So, yeah, go ahead.
So absolute means life beyond time.
This that is stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Janma karma chame divyam yo veti tattvataha tvakta deham punarjanma naiti mamiti sarjuna. This is fourth chapter, um, ninth verse. Very nice verse. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and disappearance, Krishna is saying to Arjuna, does not upon leaving the body takes his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. That is the time he becomes absolute. Before this understanding, one is not absolute. One is still in dual nature. Dual nature means what? He is experiencing happiness, distress, birth, death, duality. Two things is happening, experiencing opposite things. But an absolute nature, he will only experience one thing. In absolute nature, there death in the spiritual world? Is there death in spiritual world?
Sorry, Prabhu,
Is
can you
there
repeat?
death in the spiritual world?
No,
No, right? Is there sadness in the spiritual world?
no.
Is there happiness in the spiritual world?
Yeah, it's like all the time it will be happiness on.
So is there sadness in the spiritual world?
No.
It is there. Krishna is sad sometimes, Radharani is sad sometimes. But that sadness is not opposite of happiness. That is what duality means. You know this mathematics, there is minus 1 and 1. These are opposite, right? But when we take module of minus 1, module of minus 1 is 1, and module of 1 is also 1. Then it becomes absolute, right? So a
Yes.
minus 1 will also become 1 and 1 will also become 1 when we put a module to it. Similarly, in the spiritual world, happiness is equal to happiness and sadness is equal to happiness. So is there a dual nature? Are we experiencing two things or are we experiencing one thing? Yes. In the spiritual world, it is like this. Happiness is happiness. Sadness is also happiness. In the material world, happiness is happiness. Sadness is sadness. So we are experiencing two things in the material world. But in the spiritual world, even sadness is happiness. Does this does this help you understand? Yes, Prabhuji? Hmm? Does this help you understand? I didn't hear you.
Oh,
Sorry. Okay, let me go ahead. That is absolute, going back home, back to Godhead. As long as one is in the material world and identifies with this body, he transmigrates from one body to another. That is not absolute. This is clearly stated. When one goes back to the spiritual world, he attains the absolute position, from where he doesn't fall down. From he remains stable. There is no instability over there, like that. Okay, go ahead.
okay. All right. But this is my question. Is it sufficient for us to sit here, you sitting there, and we as friends sitting with you, engaging in the gentle art of conversation while across the ocean?
So what is he trying to say is, we are having gentle art of conversation, but across the oceans there are a lot of fighting happening. We should be worried about that. This is what he's trying to ask Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada explains him little more. The point you have missed is that although we are sitting in one place and I am sitting in a different place, this difference does not affect our actual existence. We both are human beings. The conception of Irishman, Englishman, Protestant, Catholic, and so on are but different dresses. One has to be free from these designations. Then one is thus free, he will become purified, and there will be peace. So ultimately, O'Grady wants to ask, how will there be peace? We just sit here and talk here. How will get the peace? Prabhupada is saying, well, if we go beyond the identification of the external dresses, that is Englishman, Pakistani, Indian, Hindu, Muslim, then there will be peace. And he gives the verse Sarvo Upadi Viniruktam Tat Pravartmena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchache. When you have purified your senses and engaged those purified senses in the service of the master of the senses, Krishna, you have perfected your life. That is non duality and that is absolute.
But the system insists that you think yourself American or Indian or African or whatever.
Yeah, we have passports and we have to declare there with what nationality we are in. So he's telling, yeah, we are forced. Yes, materialistic society means duality.
But that is unavoidable. How can you avoid material existence?
Yeah, so Prabhupada said that is possible in Krishna consciousness. The lotus lives in water but never touches the water.
I don't think you can explain situations in one area with metaphors from another. How can you argue political problems in terms of vague spiritual concepts? Their nature is completely different.
Sometimes a variety of examples help us to understand or appreciate the problem better. In the ways there are variety of flowers, and that variety helps us better appreciate the idea of flowers. From any point of view, Krishna can resolve all problems. But just the problems of Irishmen or Englishmen, all problems. That is called unity in diversity. Our students come from different backgrounds, but because they are all in Krishna consciousness, they are unified. Very interesting
Very good.
point Prabhupada is saying. O'Grady is saying that your examples are like only explaining, but in reality, do they work? How can they work? That nature is different, this nature is different. So Prabhupada is saying it can work in unity in diversity. There can be diversity, but if all of them want Krishna consciousness, then they will be unified. Just like in a family, there are many children. Boys are there, girls are there. If they get united in their diversity, in serving the parents, then there will be happiness and peaceful, right? But if they fight with each other, thinking this is mine, that is yours, or everything is mine, then there will be fight, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Very good. Yes, I accept that. I would like to know, though, that when you say Krishna consciousness, is there any difference between that and Christ consciousness?
No, there is no difference. Christ came to preach the message of God, which if you actually become Christ conscious, you become Krishna conscious.
And does becoming Krishna conscious or God conscious means becoming self conscious? That is conscious of who we really are.
Yes, God consciousness includes self consciousness, but self consciousness is not necessarily God consciousness.
But it may be.
No,
One may achieve consciousness of the God that is within.
that means he is God conscious. See, if you if one becomes conscious of God that is within, then he is conscious, then he is God conscious. But when he becomes only conscious that I am separate from the body, I am just a soul, then he doesn't remain God conscious, right? Then he doesn't remain God conscious. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. You are now in the sunlight, and consciousness of sun includes your ability to see yourself. In the darkness, you cannot see yourself. At night, you can't even see your own hand or legs. But if you come before the sun, you see the sun and yourself also. Without sunlight, without God consciousness, self consciousness is incomplete. So without the sun, we cannot see ourselves. Similarly, without God consciousness, self consciousness is also incomplete. However, God consciousness makes self consciousness very clear.
We meet a lot of young people in our teaching profession, and we don't try to teach them any kind of didactic salvation.
Didactic. Hmm.
didactic. So we
Salvation.
do try, yeah. So we do try to direct them toward an awareness of what is best and what is most beautiful and what is most spiritually nourishing in the world about them. That is, insofar as the system allows us. Very frequently, the students are not neutral enough to be in a spiritual condition. They are more in an emotional one. What we are faced with often is the basic question of who am I or what is it all about?
Yes.
Or they ask, why why am I here?
Yes, very good.
We are asked, why should I be here? Who are you, teacher? And what gives you the right to tell us what to think or what to be or what not to be? Why should I read Shakespeare? Why should I listen to Mozart? I prefer Bob Dylan. These kind of questions seem to emanate from a very disillusioned state of mind and insecurity and uncertainty and lack of credibility in the total structure of things as they are. Frequently, we have to answer these questions in a cataclysmic sort of way rather than presenting direct answers. We must answer indirectly, taking account of the conditioning that prompted students to ask these questions in the first place. Do you think that we should try to reach them more directly?
You're talking about problems of.
Modern education.
Yes. So many questions are there, but they are not answered by modern education. Why I have come here? What is the purpose? These questions should be answered perfectly. Therefore, the Vedas enjoin Tad Vijnartam Sagurum Eva Vigachati. To find all answers, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master.
What if we have none? What if we are told that Mr. Nixon is the bona fide spiritual master? What do we do?
No, no, no. There is a standard for bona fide spiritual master. You have only heard one line of the verse. Who is a spiritual master? There is the next line. Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. The word Shrotriyam refers to one who has heard from another bona fide source. A spiritual master, he who has taken the message from another qualified spiritual master. This is just like medical man who has taken the knowledge of medical science from another medical man. Similarly, bona fide spiritual master must come in the line of successive spiritual master. The original master is God. See
Yes,
what Prabhupada is saying, when we go to any doctor, right, we look at the credentials, right? If the doctor says I am a self-made doctor, I just read 100 books on on medicine, are we going to accept him? No. Why? We'll say you have not learned from a bona fide institution, college, from bona fide doctors, right? Similarly, for spirituality also, we should look the same thing, the parampara, the disciplic succession, and the original spiritual master should be God. In our introduction, we have this list. This is our parampara list. It starts with Krishna. Krishna gave the knowledge to Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, and some thousand years ago, Madhvacharya met Vasudev, who is in the Himalayas, and he got the knowledge. And then his students carried the same knowledge as it is, and it has come through Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri, Lord Chaitanya, and it has come to Rupa Raghunath, and then it has come to AC Bhaktivedanta Swami, and it is getting distributed to us. And future teachers will carry it. Okay, so this is the bona fide spiritual um, parampara. This is what we should check. If anybody saying I'm going to this spiritual teacher and all that, we should check this parampara line starting from Krishna, whether they are bona fide. Second check we should check is what? Their character, their behavior. Is it according to the Shastras? The Shastra says we have to be honest, we have to be truthful, you know, and so is the spiritual master like that? Third thing is we have to see whether there are sages, sadhus, like Tukaram Maharaj, the Alwars, their life, and we should compare with the present spiritual master life. Is it the same, or the spiritual master is sitting on a gold, earning money and just enjoying? Is it like that? Then we should, by all these three methods, we should then test the spirituality and then accept the knowledge. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, granted.
One who has heard from God explains the same message to his disciple. If the disciple doesn't change the message, he is a bona fide spiritual master. Yeah, the message to remain the same. That is our process. We take lessons by hearing from Krishna, God, and from him understand who is perfect. Or we hear from his representative who does not contradict Krishna. So they should not contradict Krishna and who has realized his message. It is not that we speak one thing and do all nonsense. See, this is what is happening in today's world. The so-called spiritualists, they speak one thing, but behind the scene they commit all kind of scams and abuse everything. So those are not true spiritual masters. One who does so is not a spiritual master. Go ahead.
Now there, now there is my poor old father, living in Western Ireland, a simple old man, 70 years now, your generation. He has gotten to the point at his age where he says, "They tell me, the priests, they tell me ultimately that it's God who knows, but I want to know who told God." Then he comes to me and says, "You went to school and you read books. Tell me, who told God?" So I have no answer. That is the difference between 78 and 39 years.
Yeah. So what he's saying is my father, that is this in the 70s, okay? My father is now 78 years old and he's going to he's religious. He goes to the priest, he goes to church in Ireland and he has this question is if God is giving this knowledge then who told God this knowledge? Does anyone have this answer? If someone says who told to God? Any answer? If you're
I mean,
a child. Yeah, tell me.
God, He doesn't need anyone to uh, know from others. Like he himself, like He's the ultimate knowledgeable man.
Okay.
He's the original. Yeah.
And if they tell you to prove, give some proof, what proof are you going to give?
Shastras only, like
Where?
Brahmas, I mean Vedas and Puranas and this Bhagavatam. So Lord Himself has given knowledge to Brahma.
Yeah. So 15th chapter, 15th verse, Krishna says, सर्वस्य चाहम हृदय सन्निवेशो मतः स्मृति ज्ञानम अपोहनम च वैदेश सर्वे अहम वेदो वेदांतकृत वेद विदेव चाहम. I am the knower of the Vedas. I am compiler of Vedanta. They have come through me and I am knower of them. So when Lord is there, with him the Vedas are also there. This knowledge, everything, whole thing is there. It has come from him and it has being there. Okay. No, it's not a difference of age. That difference is knowledge. The Brahma Sutra, the question is raised. Who is God? First of all, there is a question.
Who taught God?
No. First of all, there is a question. Who is God? Then we shall ask who taught God. The Vedanta Sutra says, Athayato Brahma Jigyasa. Now we should inquire who is God. Unless you know who is God, how can you raise the question who instructed God? If you don't know God, then question does not rise who instructed God. Is that so? Is this
Yes,
not so?
yes.
Yeah. Who God is explained in Brahma Samhita Sutra. Janmadi Asehataha. God is He from whom everything emanates. See, we should give this verse. Janmadi Asehataha. This is first verse of Shrimad Bhagavatam. Very first verse of Shrimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadi Asehataho Anyavad Itaratas Chartavesha Abhigna Swarat. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. I gave this knowledge in the Hridaya, in the heart of Brahma. Muyanti Sat Suryaha तेजो वरी मृदम तथो विनिमयो यत्र सर्गो मिश्र धाम्नेन स्वेन सदा निरस्ति कुहकम satyam param dhimahi. So what is actually this word he's this verse he's saying? So God is he from whom everything emanates, and that is God, the supreme being from whom everything emanates. Now what is the nature of that supreme being? Is he a dead stone or a living entity? This is also explained. Jannada soyataho anyavad itaratas chatvo abhigna swarat. The Supreme Lord is fully cognizant of everything directly, indirectly. Unless he is fully cognizant of everything, he cannot be God. Then the question that you raise is who taught God? And that is also answered. Swarat. He is fully independent. He does not need to take lessons from anyone. That is God. If one takes lessons from others, he is not God. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita and he did not have to learn it from anyone. I had to learn it from my spiritual master, but Krishna did not have to learn from anyone. One who does not need to take lessons from others is God.
Where does human love come in?
Everything is coming from God. Being part and parcel of God, we manifest partial love because the original love is there in Him. Nothing can exist if it is not in God. Therefore, love is there in God.
And manifestations of love are manifestations of God.
Unless the loving propensity is there in God, how can we manifest it? A son is born of a particular father, has symptoms of the father. See, our children sometimes they have our own symptoms. We always see this thing, right? Because the loving propensity is in God, we have the same propensity.
Maybe love is generated in you by the need.
No, there is no question of maybe. We are defining God in absolute terms. Janmadhyaseta. God is he who from everything emanated. The fighting propensity is also there in God. But his fighting and loving are absolute. Absolute means externally we may see -1 and 1. But the result is always 1. Result is always positive. That is what is meaning by absolute. So he may fight and he may love. But the result will not be destruction. The result will be always elevation, best for the soul. So he loves his devotees and he takes them back to Godhead, back to spiritual world. He fights with the demons, but they are not ready to go to back to Godhead. So what he does, he merges them in the spiritual realm, where there is peace. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Where there is peace, there is not trouble anything. So he is giving a very good place to the demons, right? Who fought with him. So that is absolute. In the material world, we experience that fighting is just the opposite of loving. See, material world is duality. Duality means opposite things. Fighting is a very difficult experience. Suppose there is a family fight. Is it a very happy fight? Hmm? Family fight? Anyone? Anyone experiencing family fight? Brother, sister, property flight? Huh? Is it very happy? No, right? It's very troublesome. We cannot sleep in the night. How many of you, if you fight with your husband or wife, we are able to sleep peacefully at night? Anyone here? Anyone had miserable nights after a fight? Or you all are peaceful people? Any experience you want to share? Yes? Anybody?
No one in the material world, material world is peaceful. So,
Yeah. I mean peaceful fine fine, if a fight happens it is very troublesome. That's what I'm saying. But if say family comes together and have a nice festival or a marriage, then is everyone happy?
yeah.
The marriage went nicely, everything went nicely. Is everyone happy? Yes, everyone is happy that time. So duality is there in this world. A fight cannot bring happiness to us. Only happiness needs happiness. But in the absolute world, in the spiritual world, it is not like that. Even if a fight happens, end result is happiness. Okay? So that is the difference between absolute and material world. That is the meaning of absolute. We learn from the Vedic scriptures that when so-called enemies of the god are killed by God, they attain liberation, where there is peace, free from material body. That's a great state, right? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is it possible to arrive at this understanding of God alone?
Mm, is it possible to
Um,
arrive at this understanding of God alone? Okay.
Question. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I don't know why. Let's see what Prabhupada is trying to say. No. Therefore, we have cited this verse. Tad vigyahartam suru guru. Oh, okay. So what is he saying is, can I come to this understanding that God is absolute and all that? And Prabhupada is saying, no. We have to learn it from a guru. Okay. The word abhigachati means must. It is not possible alone. Alone you cannot achieve this understanding. In the Sanskrit grammar, there is that is called the vidhileen form of verb, and this form is used where there is no choice. So actually there is no choice. The word abhigacheta means that one must approach a guru. There is no choice. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, you will find Arjuna was talking to Krishna, but when he saw things were not resolved, he surrendered himself to Krishna and accepted him as his guru. कार्पण्यदोषोपहत स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म समूढचेता यश्रेयन् यश्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. There are many prayers. This is one prayer from Bhagavad Gita 2.7, and we can pray this to Krishna whenever we read Bhagavad Gita or we are in difficulties. This is the one prayer we can say. Karpanya dosho upahat swabhava. Okay. Now I am confused about my duty and lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So here we can see Arjuna is confused about his duty.
Is this duty to the self, to others, or to the state?
So all these duties are there, okay? There is duty to the self, there is duty to others, and there is a duty to state also. All of that is there. A soldier's duty is to fight with the enemy. Arjuna was a soldier, and Krishna advised him. The opposite party is the enemy, and you are a soldier. Why are you trying to be non-violent? This is not good. Then Arjuna said, actually, I am confused. In this confusion, I cannot make the right decision. I therefore accept you, my spiritual master. Please give me proper lesson. In a chaotic situation, in a confused state of life, one should approach another who is in full knowledge of the matter. You go to the lawyer to solve legal problems, and you go to the physician to solve medical problems. Everyone in this world is confused about spiritual identity. It is therefore our duty to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give us real knowledge.
I'm very confused.
So you must approach a spiritual master.
And he makes a decision on how to help me stop this confusion.
Yes, the spiritual master, one who solves all confusion. If the spiritual master cannot save a disciple from confusion, then he is not spiritual master. That is the test. संसारदावानललिधलोका त्राणाय कारुण्यघनाद्घनात्वं प्राप्तस्य कल्याणगुणानवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम्. Which prayer is this? Have you heard this prayer sometime? Anyone has heard this prayer?
Yes, yes.
It's the Mangalarti prayer. Morning 4:30. This is the first line that we sing. Samsara Davalan. What does this mean? Samsara, this world, is Davana, meaning fire. So there's a forest fire in this world. Tranaya Karunya Ganat Ganatvam. The spiritual master has come in this world and he is giving his mercy just like a Ghana, like clouds with lot of water. And then he's giving us the Kalyana, the Gunarnavasya. Um, he's pouring the rain on a forest fire, and then only the forest fire will be extinguished, right? How many extinguisher you may use, it is of no use. But one cloud can extinguish the forest fire, right? So this is what the spiritual master is doing. Therefore, I will surrender to him at his charana, at his lotus feet. This whole world is confused, just like a blazing forest fire. In a forest fire, all the animals are confused. They do not know where to go to save their lives. In the blazing fire of material world, everyone is confused. How can that blazing fire be extinguished? It is not possible to utilize your man-made fire brigade, nor it is possible to simply pour buckets of water. The solution comes when the rain from the clouds fall on the forest fire. Only then can the fire be extinguished. That ability is not in your hands, but it is in the mercy of God. So human society is in a confused state and it cannot find a solution. The spiritual master is one who has received the mercy of God and he can deliver the solution to the confused man. One who has received the mercy of God can become the spiritual master and deliver that mercy. So one who has accepted this mercy of God in the disciplic succession can only deliver it to others. The problem is to find spiritual master. That is not a problem. The problem is whether you are sincere. You have problems, but God is within your heart. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam. God is not far away. If you are sincere, God sends you a spiritual master. Therefore, God is called Chaitya Guru, the spiritual master within your heart. This is a very amazing statement Prabhupada is making here. See, people always say, "Na, how to find spiritual master?" I am also trying to say. So, the root of the problem is that if we are sincere enough and if we pray to Krishna in our heart, then He will guide us. God helps from within and from without. Everything is just described in Bhagavad Gita. This material body is like machine, but within the heart is the soul, and with the soul is the spiritual is the super soul. Krishna who gives direction. The Lord says, "You wanted to do this. Now you here is a chance. Go do it." If you are sincere, you say, "Now God, I want you." Then He will give you directions. Yes, now you have come. Get me like this. That is his kindness. However, if you want something else, that is all right. We can have it. God is very kind. When I want something, He's in my heart directing me and telling me how to have it. So why should He not give directions on how to have a spiritual master? First of all, we must again be eager to revive our God consciousness. Then God will give us a spiritual master. You there?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My request to you is this. You're a poet. Just describe God. You're expert in describing. And therefore, I kindly ask you kindly describe God in your occupation. Then your life will be successful. If one hears you, his life will be successful. That is the injunction. Idam te pumsam tapasah suratasya va svitasya suktasya cha buddhi dato yah avichyato rita kavibhi nirupito yad uttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. It's a very nice verse. What it is? 1 5 22. So this is in fifth chapter. I think this is Narad Muni's chapter. Yeah, Narad Muni instructing on Shrimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. This whole paragraph is very nice. See, human intellect is to learn, art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, mathematics, finance, etc. Medical, astrology, astronomy, whatever. Um, but this whole thing should not be used for sensuous subjects, but it should be used in terms to describe Lord. Just like Valmiki, Vyasadeva, they are great writers. They wrote great literature like Ramayana and Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra. So if we do that, then there is perfection. Then there is perfection. Okay. Um, let's go back where we are. There are many leaders in the society who are poets, scientists, religionists, philosophers, politicians, and so on, who are so expert in giving this injection. Your duty is to perfect your occupation by describing glories of the Supreme Lord.
My experience is that for some extraordinary reason, one is chosen to do a particular thing.
That reason is given, avichitya. The infallible cause is this: let them describe the glories of the Lord.
But you are saying that the spiritual master is chosen. The spiritual master, the poet, the priest, is chosen by God. This person is chosen to write poems or paint pictures or make music.
So when you compose music about God. That is your perfection.
When one works for God in his line, then his line becomes his perfection.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
At this point, any questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Does anyone have any question? Okay. Okay. You can ask me, interrupt me anytime. Let's move to our last chapter, 8. The human form of life is meant for God realization, reaching life's perfection. Srila Prabhupada give an address at London's Conway Hall in 1969. If one thinks like that I am no one else's servant, my business is to serve God, then he is liberated. His heart is immediately cleansed and he is liberated. And after one has reached that, then all one cares and anxiety in this world are over, because one knows I am servant of God. God will give me protection. What should I have to worry about anything? Let's see. There is essays. Two, three essays are there in this. Third essay. Okay. So this full chapter is about essays only. There is no discussion. So how we'll go about is 2 to 3 paragraphs. Each one of us will read, and questions or comments we can add as well. Today's subject is our relationship with God. That is self-realization. The Sankirtan movement is the easiest process for self-realization because it cleanses the heart. Our misunderstanding of our identity is due to dust covering the mirror of the mind. In a mind that is covered with dust, one cannot see himself. But if it is very clear, then one can see himself. So meditation is a process by cleansing the heart. Meditation must means to try to understand one's relationship with the Supreme.
Shall I read second paragraph?
Uh, yeah, just go.
So, with everything with which we come in contact, there is a relationship. Because I am now sitting on this cushion, the relationship is that I shall sit and the cushion will hold me. You have relationships. You are Englishmen or Indians, so there is a relationship with your society, with your family, with your friends. And what is our relationship with God?
See, we have many relationship in this world: society, family, country. Just hold on. There's too much of noise. Just hold on. Yeah. So we have lot of relationship, in this world. But our real question should be, what is our relationship with God? which somehow modern education doesn't ask. Many people come on this question all by their own, right? All of us have come to this question by our own endeavor. What is our relationship with God? Go ahead.
Okay. Uh, if you ask everyone, very few people will be able to explain their relationship with God. They say, "What is God? God is dead. I don't believe God." What to speak of a relationship? Because these dirty things are covering their hearts. They cannot see. We have a relationship with everything. Why do we not try to understand our relationship with God? Is that very intelligent? No, that is ignorance. All the creatures in this material world are covered by the three modes of material nature. Therefore, we cannot see God. They cannot understand God, nor do they try to understand Him. But God is there. In England, in the morning, there is a mist, so you cannot see the sun behind the fog. But does this mean that there is no sun? You cannot see it because your eyes are covered. But if you send a telegram to another part of the world, they will say, "Yes, the sun is here. We can see it. It is very dazzling, full of light." So when you deny the existence of God, or you cannot ascertain your relationship with God, that means that you are lacking in knowledge. It is not that there is no God. We are lacking. The sun is not covered. The sun cannot be covered. The fog or the cloud or the mist doesn't have the power to cover the sun. How big the sun is? It is so many times bigger than this earth, and that clouds can cover at most 10 or 20 or 100 miles. So how can the clouds cover the sun? No, the clouds cannot cover the sun. They cover your eyes. When an enemy comes and a rabbit cannot defend himself, the rabbit closes his eyes and thinks, "My enemy is now gone." Similarly, we are covered by the external energy of God and are thinking, "God is dead."
Yeah. So, there is cloud in the sky. So, does that cover the sun? No, right? It actually covers us. Hmm? It doesn't cover the sun. Similarly, it's our ignorance, our lack of knowledge, which covers us from God. Otherwise, He's like sun, bright, clear, great energy, energetic, and we have to be sincere. Then the Supreme Lord directs us to spiritual master from him whom we come to know of the Vedas, and from the Vedas he teaches us how to reach God, how to go back home, back to God. Okay, just wait. Okay, any questions or comments anyone has? Let's open for some questions or comments. One or two questions or comments.
Yeah, one kind of question only, Prabhu. So today, one of our my friend actually is also devotee, beginner. So like he's also attending some classes and like that. So basic doubt is like sometimes that belief is not. I mean, it's not constant. Like belief in the sense like God is like. We say right like in ISKCON there is Vaikuntha Loka, Goloka after
Mm-hmm.
we die, so we want to go there. So how do we believe all these things? Like who knows after we die where we go? So these kind of
Mm-hmm.
questions are arise. So while discussion today, so how we can address or how we can
Yeah, yeah. So one thing is there that similar things happen in this material world also. Okay, we live in this country, in this state. Have you seen the prison? You ask him. And the answer is no. Unless you do something, how can you go to the prison? Right? Unless you're some big boss or something, government official, you cannot even go to the prison. So, same answer. Prison exists, right? Prison exists, whether we seen it or not. Similarly, hell exists. Okay. Then, um, what happens after death? Right? That is what happens after death. Okay. Soul moves into another body and all that. What are the proofs for it? What is the proof of life after death? Biggest proof, which modern science has also tried to um, figure out. They also do research. Any thoughts? What is the proof? What is the proof of after life after death? Ah,
Proof is when the soul is there within the body, in the body. So there is a some it's called some consciousness there
that's fine. That is
in the
fine.
mind.
That is one explanation. There should be some
Yeah,
proof which he can also experience, I can also experience, everyone experience. And that tells us that yes, there is life after death. People are living again and again. How? What is that proof? There are two proofs that we can say. You heard about reincarnation?
reincarnation. Yes.
Past life memories. There
Yeah.
are many examples of past life memory which have been proven to be true. And the scientists also baffled, and they do say that this means that there is life after death. Yeah. And second is out of body experience or near death experience. Oh, what happened? Huh. Near death experience. See, in theaters, right? In operation theaters, this is a common experience that the patients say that I came out of my body and from the top I was seeing what doctors you are using, which tool you are using, which objects you're using, what are you doing on my body. This experience they say, and this is a documented experience, nothing religious. That tells that we are separate from the body. Hmm? That tells that we are separate from the body. So when we start giving such proofs, then person understands, yeah, there is truth in this. There are near death experiences. In this also, some people actually die. They see some other world where there is lot of peace, light, and all that. They come back. So these experiences have some meaning. Okay. Now, third thing about universe. Vedic cosmology has many similar understanding, or let's say, have many similar findings as in modern astrology. See, modern astrology people believe. Why? Because we are taught in this education and all that, and they use many instruments. Okay. When we hear the same things from Vedic cosmology, we understand, oh, with instruments they figured out. Without instrument, Vedic cosmology is matching with modern cosmology. So, I wrote astrology. Actually, it should be cosmology. Huh. So when they find that, oh, there is similarity, that means this knowledge which was there 5,000 years ago, even older than that, has some truth in it. So we have to go into details and find truths, professional truths which are as equal found in modern science, and then we get faith. Okay, does this help, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. But is there any proofs or anything, any examples?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For
There are. I had documented it. Okay, let me give you. See, this is one document, that Vedic Cosmos link, which I had um, talked about. One can watch this. Um, I will paste this and share it in our
sure,
WhatsApp. This one,
sure, Prabhuji. Yeah.
and forbidden archaeology, reincarnations. So there are many proofs. Dr. Evan Stevenson, and this 7 minutes that is there. Then archaeology. A lot of archaeology studies are there, right? Um,
Uh,
yeah. So there are some presentations, Origin of Man documentary. If we see all this, then we'll definitely. So I will share these three docs, in where all the
yes,
links are there. You can go through and you can share with people who are having doubts, and let them see by themselves. Everything is on YouTube.
sure,
Some
Prabhuji. Yeah,
websites are
yeah.
there. Okay.
Sure, Prabhuji. Long back, one Prabhuji from SNGM temple, he also was saying similar thing.
Yeah, yeah,
About this
yeah. We
after,
need all this
yeah,
understanding.
yeah. I
Otherwise,
forgot
our
that story. I
our
forgot.
faith and all that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question or comment? Any last questions? Any last questions? No?
No problem for myself. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So let's meet tomorrow and we'll continue from chapter 8.